What's up, everybody? It's your girl Nia, the video gamer, and I wanted to come on and talk about Nintendo's E3. And I've got a special guest with me. I'm sure you guys know who he is. Shokio, go ahead and introduce yourself, honey.
Oh, hey, what's going on, people? It's Show. You already know who it is. Bang,
Oh,
bang.
Jesus.
It's your Nintendo Commissioner.
Can we not?
Shouts to Jack. Anyways,
Anyways, it's 3 a.m. where we are, so he's.
yeah, I'm kind of tired. Sorry. I'm like, if you guys know me, like, I'm really like silly when I'm tired, so I'm gonna be silly in this video.
Oh
So,
Jesus, I'm gonna need some of that because I've been fuming all day today. Like today has just been a really stressful day, and obviously you guys know why. So I'm gonna talk about Nintendo's E3. Let's go ahead and talk about what they showed. So obviously, they opened up with Star Fox Zero. And by the way, the theme of this year's E3 was Muppets. If y'all remember last year, the whole theme was like the robot chicken claymation style, which was really, really dope. This year was Muppets. It started off kind of good, but as the direct kind of went along, like the Muppet jokes weren't really that funny. But anyway,
yeah.
they started off with Star Fox, which I think looks really great. It is pretty much what I predicted the Star Fox was gonna be. It was gonna be a whole bunch of like gamepad things. Not that I necessarily think that that's a bad thing. Hopefully the controls aren't too weird, but I did hear that you can turn the gyro and the gamepad controls off and switch to traditional controls. I'm definitely okay with that. But after the direct, they did, say that Star Fox will not have online, but I don't want to touch on that too much right now. But Star Fox looks great. Then they went on to talk about Skylanders Supercharged, which there's going to be some new amiibo figures that act as both Skylander figures and amiibo figures. They announced a new game, The Legend of Zelda Triforce Heroes, which is kind of a little bit like Force Wars, but it's going to be focused on 3-player co-op. And Aonuma did announce that there's going to be some online play, so that's pretty cool. Let's see. They announced Hyrule Warriors Legends, which we already knew about before E3. They announced a game called Metroid Prime Federation Force, which I'm not going to go off about. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to get through this. They talked about Fire Emblem Fates, which is the new official subtitle for Fire Emblem IF in the West. They talked about, I can't pronounce this, Jine Imbumuruku. I guess that's supposed to be Shin Megami Tensei X Fire Emblem's official name. They showed a little bit of Xenoblade Chronicles X. They showed Animal Crossing Happy Home Designer, which is basically an application. We already knew about that from the last direct. And they showed a new Animal Crossing coming to the Wii U, Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival. They also showed more Yoshi's Woolly World. They showed Yokai Watch for the Nintendo 3DS. They showed Mario and Luigi Paper Jam, which is a fusion between Paper Mario and Mario and Luigi RPG series. They showed Mario Tennis Ultra Smash for Wii U. They showed last but not least, Super Mario Maker. Now, honey, what are your thoughts on what they showed?
what's the word for the dog shit? Yeah, dog
Oh
shit.
Jesus. Oh my God.
Completely underwhelming. And here's the thing. Like, it's one thing to like show underwhelming games and whatnot, but then like it's a whole nother thing to also have these underwhelming things be like so deceitful
Yes.
and like just so disrespectful to your fan base. Like the Galactic Federation bullshit, so disrespectful to the Metroid fans. If we're sitting here hungry for a Metroid game, we haven't gotten one in 5 years. Then
Jesus.
half of us didn't even like other M, so like some of us are like really, really starving. That's not the first thing you show us. If we got a Metroid on Wii U already, that would have been fine. Would have been okay with that, cool. But that's not the first thing you give us. Animal Crossing thing wasn't even a real Animal Crossing game. It's like that was a slap. And then that Zelda game is, I mean, yeah, I think it's pretty obvious where I'm getting at. They
Oh
have
my
all these,
gosh.
they have all these games from these, notable Nintendo franchises, but none of them are actually meaty. None of them are actually significant. None of them actually matter. And that's not to say every game needs to be a blockbuster. There's nothing wrong with small little distractor games, but
Right.
they don't even look that good as distractor games. And it's not
No.
only that, it's just the fact that you also don't focus on those kinds of games at
Right.
E3. Like those games would have been perfect for a random direct,
Right.
but this is
Like
E3 niggas.
Nintendo has so many directs within the year. I'm not really sure why they felt like this direct in particular was suitable for E3. E3 is where you're supposed to be showing us like your newest, latest things. And yeah, sure, there's some things here that are new, but they are not notable. They are not things that you know that your fan base is looking forward to. And then not only that, like Shok said, there are some games here that just completely slapped a couple of fan bases in particular in the face. For one, y'all know I'm a huge Zelda fan. I'm also a big Metroid fan. So to get a double whammy like that, imagine my disappointment. If y'all are following me on Twitter,
Got that one
like,
two combo, that combo piece.
yes, like if y'all are following me on Twitter, you guys will know just how disappointed I went in on Twitter today. Like I did not let up on Twitter today. And to those of you guys who follow me on Twitter, if I offended you, I don't apologize because that's exactly how I felt. And it is what it is. Like, for one, I don't like the way that they're treating Zelda. Zelda used to be one of those kind of franchises that's like, it's special for a reason because you only get so many Zeldas a generation. And now it's like, Zelda is very popular, it makes money. I get it. But now it's getting to the point where they are casualizing the hell out of Zelda. They're spitting them out in rapid rotation. I don't appreciate this at all because I feel that it's degrading the name of Zelda. You know what I mean? Like, don't get me wrong. The Legend of Zelda Triforce Heroes looks great. I applaud Aonuma for being forward-thinking, unlike a lot of the people at Nintendo for actually making it online. Because that's a big component. I love playing games online. I could see myself playing this game with my friends. But one thing that really stood out to me is that it's obviously a quick game made for a quick buck. And not only that, like the art style and stuff, it was the A Link Between Worlds art style. And it just seems like it's just so weird for this game. I'm not really sure what it is, but something about this seems really odd. I think it's because of the fact that you could tell that the assets used were just some little leftover assets from freaking A Link Between Worlds. They made it quick and they wanted to put it out there and grab some extra money. I think really it was just the principle that turned me off, probably more so than the actual game itself. But anyway, I don't really know what else to say about that, but I do know that Nintendo, please, Zelda is one of the franchises that you have that is always going to be that wow factor. It's always going to have that wow factor. Do not deteriorate the legacy of freaking Zelda. Don't mess with Zelda. Like, I'm serious about my Zelda, man. Like, legit. Secondly, Metroid Prime Federation Force. Jesus, where do I begin? You tease and tease and tease and tease and tease. Not Zelda. Metroid. Before we actually get to this point, and it's freaking cute ass chibi soldiers playing soccer with guns.
It's the niggas who couldn't make it into corruption. The rejects.
My mind is blown. My mind is blown. And the thing about this is like, who asked for this? Like, even if you weren't sure who wanted Metroid still or not, I'm pretty sure this is not the best way to go about gauging interest in a Metroid franchise. Like, really? This deviates completely from Metroid. Like, if you wanted to be safe, take Metroid Prime 3 or take freaking Metroid Other M and port it to the freaking 3DS like they did with Xenoblade Chronicles.
Or even do a remake of Prime Hunters.
Why not?
You know, bring the online back. Like,
Why
people would have been
not?
hyped for that.
I would have thrown money at my screen for a Metroid Prime Hunters on 3DS. Even if it's a game that I've played already, being reimagined for the 3DS, utilizing the 3D, like being able to use my C-Stick on my brand spanking new Nintendo 3DS, I would have accepted anything over this. And I mean, it might very well turn out to be like, you know, fun or whatever. But like I said, the same thing with Zelda. There's just certain franchises you cannot play with. Zelda and Metroid are definitely two of them. I don't understand. And then not only that, it was next level. It was next level. This was next level's game. So instead of bringing us a Punch Out, or instead of bringing us a Mario Strikers, or a Mario Sports Mix and make it big and grand for the Wii U, this is what they did. All of the potential of that studio wasted on space soccer with guns.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh.
Because when you think Metroid, you think soccer.
I can't.
When you think of a first-person game with like a gun on the screen, you think about shooting a soccer ball with that gun. Oh wait, you don't. Makes no goddamn sense. Like I said, man, like there's nothing wrong with those smaller projects and like distractor games, but like even with those, I mean, I don't know if this is just me, but I know if I was a developer, before I even start creating actual game, like while it's still only a concept, the question I would ask myself is, do people actually want this?
Yes.
Is this actually needed? Is there something better fitting for a small little distractor, that's the term I like to use if you haven't noticed, distractor. I like to call them like distractor
But
titles.
see, I like distractor games because some of my favorite games are like puzzlers and puzzle platformers. Like, I love those kinds of
Yeah.
games. But if you're going to have those, supplement them with other things. Because here's what I thought was going to happen with this. I knew for sure they wasn't going to show Zelda Wii U, so I wasn't even expecting that after they showed Triforce Heroes. But when they showed Metroid Prime Federation Force, I was like, okay, they're going to talk about this, and then they're going to show us the real Metroid, the big Metroid for Wii U. Did not happen. I was in awe. Oh, man. All right. Fire Emblem. Fire Emblem looks dope. That's not going to be a problem with Fire Emblem. Don't really care about Shin Megami Tensei's Fire Emblem. Xenoblade obviously is going to be dope, but like all of these games we've already seen before. Wow. Really, babe? Let's see. Yoshi's Woolly World is going to be dope, but we didn't need that whole segment. That whole segment could have been scrapped for a release date, and I would have been good.
Too long for a game we've seen like 8 times already.
Right. Yokai Watch was cool because, I mean, we knew it was coming to the States, but it's good just to know, it's still coming, whatever. Mario and Luigi Paper Jam, not really feeling it per se, but I might check it out anyways. I mean, whatever. I would have preferred a proper Paper Mario, but it is what it is. Mario Tennis, Ultra Smash, whatever. Never really cared about Mario Tennis. Super Mario Maker looks great, but they spent way too much time talking about freaking Mario Maker, not only in the Direct, but the whole course of E3. In the Tree House, even in the Tree House, they showed so many, like, just so much about Mario Maker. We get it. Mario turns 30 this year. We understand. We don't need you to keep bashing it. Because at first, when I at the freaking Nintendo World Championship, when freaking John Numbers clutched it, I was like, yo, this game looks fire. But now I'm sick of looking at it. So what does that mean?
Yeah, see, I was just about to say that. Like, Nintendo, you had everybody sold on that game, like, after the World Championships. But then it's like afterwards, you just kept pushing in people's face and like you desensitized people to it.
Exactly. Now I'm
Like,
sick of looking
you
at
can't
it.
be doing that. You're showing a lot of these games, like, you're showing way, way, way too much. And then on top of that, like another thing that makes it sillier is that there's other games readily available that you could be showing in like Mario Maker stead, and stuff like that.
Right.
Like, why are you spending 8 minutes? Why are you dedicating 8 minutes of Mario Maker in your digital event when there's no mention of Devil's Third? When there's no mention of Project Treasure, there's no mention of Retro's game, there's no mention of anything third party whatsoever outside of Skylanders.
No.
Why?
Like, and then not only that, a lot of people didn't realize this, but they released 9 indie titles titled Nindies at Home on the eShop for free. You can play them all week long for free and get a preview of them. They're actually really good. Where was the indie sizzle? Why didn't you talk about these games? Why didn't you make fast racing Neo a flagship of your conference when there are so many people aching for this because Nintendo doesn't seem to be interested in making a new F-Zero anytime soon.
Yeah, they should have been like, we're still planning out our F-Zero. In the meantime, here's a great, substitution from our friend Shannon. And like
Right.
roll some footage and stuff and get some details or something like that.
Right. And just to kind of reiterate what you said, they didn't show a single darn thing about Fatal Frame, and this would be the first time they would be showing it to the English audience. Because I mean, when they announced it, it was just like the Japanese trailer. This would have been a perfect time to like reintroduce that to the North American audience.
Hmm.
No double start, because remember, the double start that we saw before E3 was in Japanese. This would have been a perfect opportunity to announce it in English, because who's checking for the Japanese Nintendo other than the hardcore people? No Project Treasure, and that game was supposed to be talked about at E3. If I do believe so, maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, I could have sworn when they
I could have
announced it, he
sworn.
was like, "We'll tell you more at
I
E3."
thought
Something like
so.
that, yeah.
So hopefully they show it at the freaking tree. I'm hoping that they saw the reaction to today and they take it to the treehouse tomorrow
They're gonna
and they
change it
kick
up.
some butt. They better because they've disappointed their entire fan. Like there was even the hardest of hardcore Nintendo fans I've seen today have been talking about how disappointed and underwhelmed they were by this E3. And it's not even really the fact that they showed smaller games. It's just not even that, but the show itself was trash. Like the pacing was terrible. The pacing was terrible. The fact that and then it's like, okay, because some people were saying this, like, remember, they were talking about things that are coming out this year and early next year. I respect that, I understand that, but even like the games that we just said, they didn't talk about. They were nowhere to be found. Vaporware. And we know more than what was shown in the direct is coming out for the Wii U this year and the 3DS, but nothing was talked about, not even a mention.
Nope.
And that is an E3 presentation. That is what you bring for one of the biggest video game showcases in the world. If that's all you have to show, you might as well not even show it up. I'm gonna keep it real with you.
You know what's really crazy? The fact that the NX was mentioned, and at the
That's
very
another
and at the
thing.
very beginning.
That's
So like
another thing.
the
And
code name of
yes,
unannounced, about unannounced, I mean, like unofficially,
right.
gets mentioned,
In
but
the
not
first
games that we know already exist and we've seen, such as Devil's Third and Fatal Frame and that kind of stuff.
And that brings me to my next point. Nintendo, well, Reggie said that in the first couple of minutes of the presentation, he mentioned the index and he went on this whole spiel about transformation. Nintendo is trying to transform. And my question is, what the hell are they trying to transform into? You know what I'm saying? Because I'm looking at what was shown at the Direct,
A brick.
and I'm looking at what could have possibly been shown, things that we know that are coming that was not talked about. And then I wonder, like, who does Nintendo think their target audience is? Like, what audience is Nintendo at this moment cultivating? Because if y'all have noticed, every generation, their ecosystem shrinks and shrinks
Mm-hmm.
and shrinks. And if they're really trying to make it right with the NX, it makes me wonder, are they gonna actually rebuild and try to keep my trust? Because I'm a diehard Nintendo fan. I have been since I was a child. But as time goes on, it seems like they really doing the best they can to kick veteran gamers like myself and Shokio to the curb and bring in a whole different new audience. It's evident in freaking like the amiibo stuff. Like, I was okay with amiibo because, okay, whatever, if this is what they got to do to make their money, it is what it is. But I could also see the downsides of it, and a part of that does go into what we're seeing today. They're casualizing the hell out of their major franchises. They're bringing in all these amiibo figurine toys. You know what I'm saying? It's like, what's going on here?
Mm-hmm.
I'm just trying to figure out, like, is Nintendo trying to rebuild and make something great for us, or are they trying to kick us out the door? I'm just trying to figure out what's going on.
I think this is the major problem. I think Nintendo makes the games that they want to make. And I know to some of you guys, you might think that that sounds normal or like that's okay. Like, it's their company. They can do what they want. They can make the games they want. But no, if you think about it, that's not how it should be. You need to be making games for your goddamn fans, for the consumers.
We're the ones throwing the money at you.
It's like, Miyamoto, he likes the small, silly stuff, the small, silly, fun stuff,
And
right?
I'm fine with that. I like silly, small, fun things.
But it's like he makes so many of them simply because he likes it, right? And he wants to do it. He doesn't. It's almost as if with a lot of these games, Nintendo forgets that they're making these games for other people, more specifically for Westerners.
Right.
Because a lot of these games are also, very, Japanese, and they do well in the Japanese markets and stuff like that, and they don't even think about the rest of the world, which I still don't understand to this day because Nintendo, you're going to get 85% of all your sales from the West. Maybe even higher. I don't know, maybe like 90%. I don't know the exact, statistics and numbers, but
the Western market is much larger than the
yeah,
Japanese market. That's where most of freaking gaming consumerism happens, is in the West.
it's like they're literally catering to the smallest market. That makes
That
no
makes no
sense.
sense.
That makes no sense. You're catering to the smallest. What are you doing?
It just makes no sense. Like, my mind is absolutely blown after E3. I really don't know. Like, I don't think I've ever been this disappointed in Nintendo, because even when Nintendo has had like bad E3s or bad conferences, like, there's at least something I can take from them and say, okay, well, at least they showed this. The only thing that thing was today was Star Fox.
Yep.
Like, they could have showed Star Fox and just ended the presentation in like the first 5 minutes for all, because that, to me, that's essentially what happened.
Yeah. Here's another thing that kind of just like adds injury to insult, which just makes absolutely no sense, is that the announcements they did days prior were so much better than anything they showed today.
Yes.
Well, yesterday at the time we're recording this. So it's like, why did you decide to keep this Animal Crossing themed Mario Party, right?
How do you
It's
make, first of all, how do you make Animal Crossing more casual than it already is?
yeah, right.
How do you do that?
But it's like, okay, how do you have that? You have Mario Tennis, you have the Skylanders. You save that for the digital event, but you drop a pretty sizable bomb, which is Mother 1 finally getting localized.
Which was huge.
Which I personally don't care about, but I recognize that as a huge thing because that's something people have been asking for literally like 30 freaking years. There's that, and then there's the confirmation of Roy and Ryu, and I'm pretty sure there's another thing that I can't think of right now, but those are two really good examples, things right there. So it's like, why did you go ahead and release those before E3, and you kept Mario Party, Animal Crossing, and Home Makeover, and all this?
What the craziest thing is,
yeah.
too? Like, not only did they not talk about these things during their presentation, they low-key uploaded them to their YouTube as the direct was happening and after it happened.
Yeah, just like on the down low.
Why?
It didn't make any sense whatsoever. Like, it's so crazy. Like it feels like they're doing it on purpose. Like,
That's what I'm saying.
there's no way you could like mess up this bad like on accident. Like, surely they knew what they were showing when they put together that digital event, and they saw the lack of actual compelling. That's the word. That's the word to perfectly describe these games.
Compelling.
They're not bad or anything. They're just not compelling in the slightest whatsoever.
And then it's like, I'm looking at my Wii U and I'm just like, did they forget about you? What's all this 3DS stuff? Like, yeah, the 3DS is your moneymaker, but I mean, like, you got this console, you know what I'm saying? What are games though? Was my purchase in vain? I'm just asking.
They got a new handheld coming out next year anyway, so I don't even understand why they're focusing so much on 3DS. That's an assumption, but next year.
Handheld?
No, the NX isn't going to be launching next year if it is a console.
Oh, well.
But
you're assuming that there's going to be a new handheld.
yeah, I'm assuming because next year will mark 5 years,
Mm,
and they usually have a new handheld on a 5-year cycle.
yeah.
But I don't know. I think But at the end of the day, at the same time, I could say that I don't blame Nintendo. The Wii U is a lost cause at this point. Why try?
I feel like at least be faithful to the people who bought it.
Yeah.
At least show some freaking integrity and support this thing that you created. Even if it's not doing as well as you would have hoped, give me, as a consumer, hope. Because at this point, my consumer trust has been broken. And if the NX is a console, whatever Nintendo was coming out, they're going to have to try really hard to get me to get that thing day one. Because I got my Wii U day one under the assumption that Nintendo was going to do right. Because they gave me that impression that they were going to do right. And then here we are in 2015 and nothing's changed. The Wii had more support than my freaking Wii U, my HD console that is
First
much more
party and
capable
third party.
of my Wii was. Why? Like, I know there's games coming out this year, but what's coming out in 2016 and beyond? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
And next probably is coming out sooner than we thought. Maybe who knows? Not next year. I don't think it's coming out next year, but I think it's going to definitely launch in 2017.
It's likely going to launch in 2017.
But if there's some random odd chance that somebody from Nintendo is actually watching this video, like, I would just like to let y'all know that you guys cannot afford another Wii U.
No.
Like,
No.
okay, pretty much. I mean, your trust in gamers trust in you
Fleet.
has been destroyed for the majority of them already. If you have another failure of a system like this, you're not going to be dead because you go bankrupt. You're just going to be dead because just people aren't going to be buying your products anymore.
Nobody's going to care anymore.
And I know that might sound crazy coming from, Shokio, the big Nintendo fan. I've been on here for years, but it just shows how radically Nintendo has changed and just how bad and dire the situation has gotten.
In just the last couple of years.
Yeah, and I know a lot of you guys may say, well, like, oh, well, the Wii was a success. Commercially speaking, yes. But even with the Wii, when it comes to the hardcore gamers, it could be considered a failure in the eyes of a lot of hardcore gamers because, with the Wii, they didn't get on board with the HD gaming. They didn't get on board with, the whole online, revolution that happened last generation. Yeah, it sold over 100 million units, but how many of those units were actual, like, hardcore gamers?
No, not me.
Buying these hardcore games, And a lot of people, they like to say, these Wii games didn't sell because, oh, look, this sold over 100 million units, the Wii, right? But Mad World only sold 500,000. But I've always said, like, that 100K is definitely not hardcore gamers.
Definitely not.
There's no telling how small the actual, hardcore, user base was with the Wii. It could have been 15 million for all we know. 20 million, something low like that, So really, speaking, we could say that, the GameCube, I mean, the GameCube was a great system. I'm just talking about, like, commercially. The GameCube was a failure commercially. And then it's kind of like flipped. The Wii was a failure to a lot of gamers' eyes, last generation. Then the Wii U is just a failure in both regards.
In both categories.
Both. So it's like, really, this would be the fourth system in a row you struggle. Well, really the fifth, because the N64 struggled commercially too, but it was still great for gamers.
Right.
But I'll just say this. This would be the fifth system you struggle with in general, in either regard. And either regard is really bad. So it really doesn't matter either way, whether it's commercial failure or it's failure to, capture, the hardcore gamers' hearts. Either way, each failure, both those failures are really critical and huge.
Yes.
And you cannot afford a fifth in a row. Like, you're not going to be able to come back from that. I mean, this digital event alone is going to be extremely hard to come back from. If you mess up your next console, God.
And you know what was really telling about this whole situation too is how conclusive the fan base was about it. Like, there was no division. It's pretty much conclusive that most people, like Nintendo fans and people who are just general gamers, were very disappointed in Nintendo today.
Yeah, man, that shows you just how bad it's gotten. Because anybody who is sub to this channel, anybody who is in this community knows that the Nintendo fan base is the most divided gaming community.
Yes.
Like out of the big three, like hands down, no questions asked. Like there's people on all different like sections of the spectrum, from far end to the other end to the middle to everywhere in between or whatever. But today, literally 99.9% of everyone was on the same page. And if
Yes.
the entirety of the Nintendo fan base is on the same page, that
Something's going on.
really lets you know Nintendo fucked up. When I could go to Player Essence and I see people saying that that conference was dog shit, that is telling.
It means something.
That means something. If I go to Player Essence and there's people talking about it was trash, that's incredible.
And
And that's not, I'm not even trying to be funny. Like, I'm being so serious. You guys don't hear me like chuckling or anything in my voice. Like, I'm being legit serious. That's amazing.
I hope that Nintendo takes notice because they absolutely cannot mess up their next console. It is very important
There we go.
that they get it right. Because core fans like myself and Shokio are dwindling. And it's becoming more and more evident every generation. Every generation.
Like,
And that's saying something because I have supported Nintendo for years. I have never passed up a Nintendo like console ever.
and like I haven't said this on video yet, but for those who may not know where I am right now, I'm pretty much at the point where I don't even care about the Wii U anymore. Like
Yeah.
I'm just like at this point, I'm just awaiting the next generation. I'm like, I'm just awaiting the next chance Nintendo has. That should never happen.
No.
A fan of a console and a company should never be ignoring the current system. And it hasn't even hit 3 years yet.
Nope.
We're on the third year, but it's not going to be 3 years old until November. It's 2.5 years old, and I'm already like, fuck this. I want the next thing.
Yep.
That should not be happening. And I've seen tons of comments today from, I've been on YouTube for a long time. I recognize usernames and stuff. I know people, I know where they're at, when it comes to their mentality and how much of a hardcore fan they are of companies. I've seen some notable, like hardcore Nintendo fans talk about they don't even know if they want to even trust you with your next system.
That consumer trust is something else, ain't it?
And these aren't randoms. These aren't multi-platform gamers, who own everything. These aren't Sony and Microsoft fans. These are hardcore, die-hard Nintendo fans talking about, "Man, I don't even know if I want to go through it again. I don't even know if I want to buy it at launch. I don't even know if I could trust them again." Crazy. Because this is stuff that I thought I would never hear out of Nintendo fans' mouths.
No.
But you guys did a number on us today. You really
Definitely.
did.
Like the feeling of disappointment, like me just saying that I was disappointed does not even remotely encompass what I really
That's the
felt.
lazy, that's the lazy version of what you want to say.
Like it's an understatement. Disappointment is not even the word. Like there has to be a more severe word to replace that, and maybe that could sum up what I felt today. Like it was legitimately embarrassing to be a Nintendo fan today, just to keep it real with you. Like my favorite company, the ones who pioneered what we see gaming as today, completely dropped the ball on a catastrophic level today. And it doesn't look like it's getting any better in the near future. And that is the saddest part. And Iwata, he came out and he apologized on the Japanese Twitter and stuff. And that's cool. But I'm at the point now, it's like, okay, well, I'm tired of apologies.
Yeah, he's always
Show
apologizing,
me
man.
something. You apologize every freaking time the sun rises and falls. But when are you gonna show us something? That's what I'm waiting to see.
And yeah, they could come back swinging next year with, titles and stuff. Like, a lot of people were saying, yeah, this is disappointing, but it's not the end of the world. It's not like it's the last digital event or anything. And yeah, that's true. Nintendo could easily come back next year and show us, the
Definitely.
Metroid and F-Zero stuff like that. But again, like me, along with a lot of other Nintendo fans, we're pretty much at the point where it's like, do we even want these games on the Wii U? Do we even want the Wii U to continue at this point? Because I know me personally, I've already decided this and made it up in my mind. I'd rather Nintendo just go ahead and focus their resources on the next. Like I really do. Because they're not going to do anything with the Wii U. And at this point in time, any further game they put on the system, it's just going to be limited by the Wii U. And
Right.
that's not just from a hardware perspective, but it's also, an online perspective as well. Because the mindset they have right now with the Wii U is limiting their games.
They don't even
And
seem like they even care about the potential of the console anymore. It's like they completely gave up.
yeah, it's like they're not even utilizing the console the same way the controller the console comes with has a mic in it and a headphone jack, and nothing has voice chat. Nothing from Nintendo has voice chat.
Yes.
It's amazing. Well, at least not in game. Mario Smash has it, but neither of those are in game. Shout outs to the two only online Nintendo games we have on the Wii U. But
And Splatoon.
oh yeah, so God, Jesus Christ, I don't want to talk about Splatoon. But what was I saying? Yeah, yeah, it's like it's kind of the reason why I don't even want Nintendo to bring the next Metroid and the next F-Zero to Wii U is because it just seems like they're at the point where they're just kind of like, let's just put these games out and just slap them on there.
That's what it feels like.
Right? Yeah, it's like they're just making the games and they're just making them like just bare bones, just good enough. And of course, I'm not talking about from a quality standpoint because of course, Nintendo games are always really polished, right? You go into a Nintendo game, it's going to be a solid 60 frames, it's going to be smooth, all that stuff. There's not really going to be any glitches or anything like that. But I'm talking about bare bones content, bare bones features, all that kind of stuff. For instance, if they did an F-Zero right now, it'd be, just regular single player Grand Prix, time trials, and like that would be it, right? They wouldn't even try to bother with online or something like that, especially if Miyamoto was behind it. You see what I'm saying? Like, so if you don't want to actually use the online, if you don't actually want to use the Wii U's capabilities, you don't want to tap into the horsepower or whatever, anything the Wii U could do, I'm at the point where I'm like, you know what?
Just
I don't
move
even want
on.
these. I don't. Yeah, just move on. I don't even want these games on the Wii U. Just hold them for the better hardware, where hopefully the better hardware will encourage you guys to change your mindset and be more ambitious with your titles. Because even these Wii U games we have right now, right? They're great. The Nintendo Wii U games we have that came out are great, but they're definitely not as ambitious as like previous entries in those same series or just as previous games in Nintendo's history, just in general. They've just kind of like been games. Like 3D World is great, but there's an obvious like difference in ambition between that and Galaxy.
You're
You see
right.
what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's obvious. And I'm sure a lot of you guys out there, some of you probably like 3D World, better. That's cool and all. I'm not saying I don't see how you can't, like Galaxy better. I'm just saying that there's one obviously has so much more ambition than the other. So that just kind of just ties in with what I'm saying about how Nintendo just kind of seems satisfied with just doing the bare minimum and slapping these games on the Wii U rather than actually like,
I'm
trying to
trying to
make a
utilize it to
masterpiece
its
and
actual
yeah,
potential.
yeah,
It's
full
like
potential. Like Star Fox with no online. Why? Through Star Fox 64 had online. Assault had not online, multiplayer. Assault had multiplayer. People are like, why are you expecting online in Star Fox? I'm like, because Star
it's
Fox
the
has.
natural evolution.
Yeah, it's a natural evolution, right? If you have a multiplayer game back in the day, if it's still going now, if you bring it here now in this day and age, the natural thing is to throw it online. Killer Instinct back in the day, Killer Instinct now, guess what? They threw that bitch
Online.
online. Mario Kart back in the day, Mario Kart now, they threw it online. It's just a natural progression. It's a natural thing that you do.
That moment where that new Zelda game on 3DS has online, but Star Fox doesn't.
Yeah, and it's just crazy how the 3DS has all these online games like Kid Icarus and that Zelda game and Luigi's Mansion 2 that has online, and we didn't ask for that. We didn't expect that.
That's
That
crazy.
that came out of left. We don't need multiplayer for Luigi's Mansion, but we get Luigi's Mansion online multiplayer and not Star Fox. Star Fox, which has had two entries that have had split screen four player multiplayer and is a squad themed dogfighter.
Mm-mm-mm.
A squad themed dogfighter that doesn't have cooperative multiplayer online.
It's interesting stuff.
It does, but Luigi's Mansion does. Because you got to coordinate to suck up the ghost in your little bitch ass vacuum. Does that make sense?
It doesn't.
It doesn't make any sense.
Now, I was on the whole, I was in the camp that I didn't want Nintendo to focus on the NX or whatever the new console is going to be too quickly. I want them to go ahead and just be loyal and just support the console that they've got now.
Hmm.
And then, I'm looking forward to Zelda. I need my Zelda. You know what I mean? But if Nintendo is going to do the Wii U like this, yeah, they may as well just pack it up and just move on and try again and hope for the best next time. But I think that today was very telling, and I hope that Nintendo realizes that they ain't got too many chances now with their core gamers, with their core fans, and they need to shape up if they want to continue on that trust. Like I said, like my consumer trust was completely broken today, and I feel that a lot of gamers felt that way today.
Hmm.
So I mean, it is what it is, but I think we should just go ahead and wrap this up because I mean, we've gone on about this for a long, but I know a lot of you guys were asking me my thoughts about it, and I didn't think that I could stomach doing this by myself because I was so livid today. So I had to have a little bit of support today, you know. So, I mean, is there anything else that you want to say before we go ahead and get out of here?
Uh, I'm just kind of preaching the same song I've been preaching for a while now. This is why I've been getting on the Nintendo fan base, this whole time. And this is why I've been so critical. Because like look how bad it's gotten, right? And if we were more vocal, 2 years ago, maybe we could have prevented this. Maybe it wouldn't have happened. But hopefully, maybe this had to happen. You know,
For
maybe
people to
they had
see.
to hit rock bottom to finally wake up and understand. And then same goes for the actual Nintendo fans. Maybe Nintendo had to go to rock bottom for them to finally like be like, okay, this is some bullshit and something needs to change. So hopefully this was an eye opener for a lot of you guys out there, and you could be more vocal and critical towards Nintendo.
Right. It's crazy, yo. But yeah, somebody said that. I saw somebody made that same comment on a YouTube video. Like maybe this needed to happen for Nintendo to see that they are out of touch with their fan base and they need to get it together. Because what we want from them and what they want to give to us is on completely different planes.
Different thing.
All right, you guys. Well, thank you so much for tuning in. Comment below. Let us know what you think. We'll talk to you later. Peace.
Peace.
If you're interested in joining my raid call and playing games with myself and other gamers, please follow the link for instructions. And get showered and put some clothes on and stuff like that. Get on the internet. That's like a normal thing to do these days. We get on the internet, on Facebook, on Twitter, see what's going on, see what our friends are talking